Welcome back to another episode of Be Sure to Cook. Today we're going to be making smothered steak with gravy, mashed potatoes, and steamed green beans. So stay tuned and let's do this. Okay, we're using beef bottom round steak. You can use any steak you want. Ribeye, any steak that you have, T-bone, whatever, you can do this. Make sure you beat it out nice and thin, and we're gonna flour and fry these steaks to make a good southern gravy with onions. And we're gonna start off with our steak. I've got cutlets of steak that they've cut up for me at any local store, or you can get them. These are a little thick, and we're gonna rinse these off, and we're gonna beat these until they're thin. We're gonna fry these babies, and it's gonna be delicious. Okay, I have me a nice big freezer bag, but you can use anything you want. You can use aluminum foil, you can use wrapping paper, any kind of paper for food. You can even use plastic wrap. You can use butcher paper. That's what I call wrapping paper. You can use any of the butcher paper, any of those. I'm using a bag, so I'm going to take this steak. I rinsed it off, guys, and you see me rinse it off. I'm going to get a paper towel, and I'm going to blot these a little dry. Okay, I'm going to blot this steak a little dry. Make sure I get all that excess water off. Make sure you do that. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in my bag here. I'm not going to seal it or anything. I'm just going to close it in. And I have my, I don't know what this is, but it just beats down your steak. And I'm just going to beat this and make this, tenderize this a little bit. I just want to beat it thin. Now, you can do this, do all your steaks like this, beat them down until they're really, not really super thin, but until they're a little tender, because we're going to be meat tenderizing these too. So let's do this. Okay, this is the meat tenderizer that I'm using, so I'm beating my steaks. Yeah, so I'm on my third. I got one more, guys. We can get to cooking. Okay, here are my steaks. Now I'm going to take one and I'm going to add some meat tenderizer on these steaks, and I'm getting ready to season them up. So I'm going to do one side on both sides. I'm going to be adding a little meat tenderizer, some paprika, and some Mrs. Dash blend. And it's got pepper and stuff already in here. So I don't have to add any more extra pepper because I'm going to have that into my seasoned flour. So you really want a good seasoned flour, guys. So if you have one, you can make up one using, just all your seasonings and put it with your flour and make sure it's seasoned. I don't want to tell you to taste raw flour, but unfortunately I do, to make sure, because if your flour base doesn't taste good to you, it's not going to taste good on your food. So you want to make sure that you season it up really good. Okay, so after you tenderize this with the meat tenderizer and you season it, you're going to cover it up, put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes so it can get nice and marinated. In the meantime, we're going to be getting our mashed potatoes and our green beans together. Okay, I've got some green beans that I had got, and they're in a bag, and they're fresh green beans, fresh, good, tender green beans. So I'm going to do about, I say this is probably about half a pound of green beans. So I'm going to cut the edges off these. Okay, so these are really fresh. They've been picked and they're fresh. I didn't pick them, I just got them. And they're real crisp and fresh. So I'm going to do these a little different. I'm going to cut the tips. Even though they say they cut the tips, I don't trust anyone. So I'm going to line them up and I'm going to cut the tips of every little one. These two get cut. Okay, and I'm going to rinse these and wash these up if I have to cut a tip off every one of them. Okay, here we got them. We got the tips cut off. We got them. We're going to wash these babies up, and we're going to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, now I got my green beans rinsed. I've got a small pan that I'm going to be using, And let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some salt. And I'm using sea salt. So I'm going to add maybe 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there. So you can measure it, but this is sea salt. You can use any salt you want. Sea salts are better. So it looks like a lot, but it's not. It's just like 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then I'm going to get some, guess what, guys? Some chicken broth. Chicken broth. I'm only putting that salt in here because it makes the green beans bright. So I'm going to use about maybe 2 cups or a cup of chicken broth. I want to cover it. So it's like you're going to be using this chicken broth just to give flavor. And I'm going to whisk this. Yes. Whisk that salt up in there. This is low fat, no salt in this chicken broth. I'm putting salt with the green beans. It's like doing it with water. Most people do it with water, and I'm going to add my green beans into this and make sure that my green beans are covered. And if not, I'm going to add some more chicken broth to make sure they're covered. And you want to make sure they're covered. So I'm going to add about another 1/4 cup of chicken broth. I'm just adding the whole thing. And I think this is 2 cups of chicken broth. Let's see. I think it is 2 cups of chicken broth. I'm right. See? 2 cups. So I made 2 cups of chicken broth to, like, you know, what I say them green beans was about a half pound or a pound, or, you know, just a handful. Just cover them up. Okay, then I'm going to put this on my stove, and I'm going to give these a quick boil before we fry these and put garlic and Parmesan all over them. These are going to be so good. Okay, I got my good old Idaho potatoes. You can use white potatoes. You can use russet potatoes. So I'm doing, since I'm fixing 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'm doing 8. You can do as many as potatoes you want. I don't want to tell you how many potatoes you want to eat, but I'm fixing for a family of 4. So I'm using russet potatoes. I'm just going to peel me some russet potatoes because we're going to make some mashed potatoes with this. So let's get this peeled. You can peel them with a knife. You can peel them either way you peel potatoes. But right now, I'm using my handy knife. And I used to love peeling them with my hands. I used to have a little paring knife that I used to peel them with my hands. And my daughter really introduced me to this, a potato peeler. And she didn't know how to peel like I did. So one day, we had a contest. Who could peel the fastest, her with the peeler or me with the little knife, my little paring knife. And I won the peeler thing. She wasn't very good at it, but I loved it. I could peel a potato just like I could peel it with this paring knife, just as fast as easier, maybe faster for me because I've been using it for a while. I use this thing for everything now that she showed me. I didn't know they had this. I was still old school until I found this. And my husband bought it for her to help me in the kitchen to peel or whatever, and she would always peel with this, and I was like, girl, you're going to cut your hand off, and I got to use it, and you can use it just like a knife, because this is how I do the knife. And I was like, man, by the time you get through doing all that, I could have been peeled, cut, and had those things chopped up. And she said, well, come on, let's have a test. Let's have a contest to see who wins. I won, beat her by, I left her in the dust with this little knife, paring knife. Then I got to trying to use it, and I was like, oh, man, this is just like using a knife. And I said, so now I've been using this thing like crazy. So let's peel these up. Let's get these chopped up. We're going to cut these in quarters. Quarters is going across, going in 4s. And let's get these in some water. Okay, my green beans are still boiling in my little mixture that I made. That is chicken broth and a little sea salt, and they're kind of green and they're a little bit still crunchy. Okay, but they're a little soft and a little crunchy. So let's take these out because we don't want to overcook them because we're going to fry these babies up. And I'm going to put them in a little bowl there because these are going to be fried. Okay, after I rinsed off my potatoes, here's this great chicken broth, and it gives flavor. Why waste it? Let's put our potatoes in it. Let's boil our potatoes. Okay, I have an onion, and this is a shallot. Oh, this is a double shallot. It has more than one in here. And when I went to cut this, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go ahead and cut both this off, open this, and then I just use half of it, and the other I just save. that peel this off. Right. Shallots are really strong, very, very strong. They're stronger than a regular onion. I'm just going to use that little shallot. This one I'm going to put in a Ziploc bag and I'm going to save it. So I just need a little, so I'm going to cut down. I know I don't like to do this to this onion, but the shallot is a little different. And then I'm just going to cut up, cut here. See, all this time you have to take to do this. It takes a long time to do this. Gotta go through each little mark, make sure you cut it off. Instead of just making it round and just cutting it like I like it, then I'm just gonna slice these a little, because I mean really thin, because I don't happen to like a lot of onion, because these shallots are very strong. I bought one and I used it, and I said, oh, these are stronger than a regular, to me, maybe not to you all, but to me it is very stronger. So maybe my shallots was a little bit too old when I got it at the store, but it was very strong. But I'm going to cook this out, so it's not going to make it. So I'm going to take a little bit of shallots. I'm going to put them in there. Oh, it's going to be good. So let's get our pan together for our green beans. Okay, I have a garlic clove, and I am just taking my grasp, and I am just going to make sure I get all of this. You got to watch out. I don't want to cut my hand. So, okay, another garlic. My producer told me it's a rasp. I think I'm saying it wrong, but I'm just going to say grater. I couldn't say it really good, and he said, just call it grater. So, I'm trying, guys. I probably have a little speech problems because I'm like really, really country. So, but hey, everybody has a little bit of everything. So I'm just going to clean this off. That is my fresh garlic. Oh, it's, you know, garlics, I love garlic. Jar garlic, fresh garlic, squeezed garlic. It don't make a difference. I love it all. So I got this, and we're getting ready to fry up our pan. How you can tell your potatoes are done, when you take a fork and you barely move, and they just go right through them. See that? They just go right through them. These are very tender. Let's take these out. Okay, I have a strainer, and I have a metal bowl up underneath it, or any kind of bowl, and I'm just dumping out these potatoes with this chicken broth, because I'm going to use the pan that I cooked them with. But I still got some good potatoes in there at the bottom. I'm going to take this and put this on the table. Okay, here's the pan that I had the potatoes in, and I'm bringing the bowl over, but I'm going to disregard the stock that I had. Oh, and these are going to be so delicious. It's like cooking with flavor. Okay, let's get our potato masher. Okay, I got my potato masher. Usually, you can use a potato masher, and I'm doing it this way this time because I'm too lazy to get out my blender. Or, you know, you can get out a blender, you can get out whatever to blend it up. But I got a mixer that I use too, or you can use a blender, you can use whatever. But I got a mixer that I hook all up and make and do all that, and I was too lazy, so I decided to use my old potato masher. I like that better. With this, it is going to be delicious. Look at that. So I gotta make sure when I do it, I want to go all the way down because I don't want the potatoes to come out to the end. Oh, this is the old-fashioned way. Now, I used to use this when I was a young girl, and I used to cook, because I've been cooking ever since I've been 6 years old. And I used to do this all the time. And I would take this potato masher that I have in my hand and make it like I had used a mixer to mix it up, or a blender. I would, honey, make these so great. It wouldn't have no lumps. It would be smooth. Very, very smooth. Okay, so I'm using about a half stick of butter with those many potatoes. It's a lot. These potatoes, if you're going to do they're not something that are really, you know, going to be healthy, fat-free, actually. They're going to be a little bit of calories in here. But I'm using a butter. It's not real butter. I'm using a healthy heart butter. And it's Smart Balance. Smart Balance butter. It supports healthy heart cholesterol levels. And it's good. And I'm using about half a stick of that. And then I'm using a half and half cream, any kind of half and half. You can use cream or whatever, or you can use heavy cream. I'm going to pour a little bit in there. Probably, I don't know. I'm kind of guessing. Kind of guess on that, guys. Don't pour all of it in there, but just pour some of it in there. And by the way, this is like a, you can get any kind, but this is an organic. They were out, so I try to, organic is really good too. So I always like to use natural. And so was that chicken broth. That chicken broth was really good because I try to cut, you know, the calories and fat and stuff like that. So I said, I mean, if you're making them and you're using real butter, you're using that much butter, sometimes you use a stick of butter to get them all nice and gooey. Just know if you want them healthy free, use the products, you know, organic, half and half, or, you know, smart bin butter, because it's not, doesn't have all the stuff that you think those other butters have. Always taste your food. If it needs salt, put a little salt in it. But don't forget, I'll use sea salt. Always sea salt, or, you know, some other, don't use iodine salt. Iodine salt is good if you have it. I'm not saying it's not, but you might want to switch to sea salt or something like that, because you don't want to get, iodine salt can give you really high blood pressure. All salt really can, but natural salt's better. So try to use natural salt if you can. If not, use iodine, but don't use as much. Because sea salt, if you use a tablespoon of iodine or half tablespoon of iodine salt, you don't even need that much for sea salt, because sea salt's bigger kernels and it's all natural, so it's gonna salt it up more than iodine. Iodine's just really not good for you. But if you like it, continue to use it. If you don't have people with high blood pressure or heart problems in your family, you're good to do it. Okay, I got olive oil in here. So let me show you. And I got a teaspoon. There's the olive oil I have. And I got a teaspoon of that Smart Balanced butter to offset the olive oil, because olive oil burns. And you want to turn this like on a low medium, because we're getting ready to go ahead and bread our steaks, and we're going to fry them up. Okay, then I have my steak that have been marinating in the refrigerator. And then here is my flour mix. And that flour mix, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start breading that steak. You know, just like you're frying a chicken or a pork chop, or you're frying something. But this is just a steak, a flat cut steak. And you want to really drench it. Now this flour mix is my own flour mix. And you can make a good seasoned flour mix. Now now we're going to take this and we're going to fry that up. Okay, then I shake off the next steak. And that's going to share. Scoot over now. Let him get in. He wants to get in. And then we got that in. We're going to cook these until they're lightly golden brown, but we're not going to try to cook them all the way, because these babies are going to be smothered into some gravy. Okay, guys. Going to check the steaks, because we just want a crust on there. You know, a little crust like so. Then we're going to take it. We're going to flip it, because see that crust on there? That's what we're looking for. We've got a little crust on the side, about 2 or 3 minutes on this side. And we're going to put these babies in some gravy. Okay, there, all that crust and stuff is, take off my steak, because it don't need to be cooking that long. And look at that. That's what I'm looking for. See all that crust? That's going to be going into the gravy. And that's what I'm looking for. Wonderful. I think it just stuck to the pan a little bit. We're going to do them. We're going to put the other two in there, and let's do it. Okay, these are my second ones. I already flipped them. I went on ahead of time and pulled some of the grease by dipping it and holding the steak over and pulling some of the grease into a bowl, because I'm going to need that olive oil, because that's what I'm going to be making my gravy. And all these little bits you see in here, I'm going to need that, yes. So I'm just like, and as it's going, it's coming off, but that's okay, because it's going to be in gravy anyway. So you don't really need that flour base on it. You want it, because that's going to really make your gravy stand out. I'm going to go ahead and start taking these out, guys, because like I said, I don't want to overcook those. I'm going to turn this off, I'm going to lift up all those bits and pieces that I had off the steak. And I'm going to take these bits and all these pieces, and I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to put it on top of my steak because that's going to be in my gravy. Now we're going to start making the gravy. Okay, so I have some those onion that I had left in there. I've got these, chopping these up, and that is a good way to do that. So I'm just going to chop these. You can do them long dice, as long as you got a little onion in there, and that's what I like. Cut that in half again, and I'm just going to start dicing. I kind of like them a little bit big there. I kind of do, and I'll make sure that I want to get all that onion in there, and we're going to have that onion go into my flour mix. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay, here is that grease, and here's all that good stuff, those bits down at the bottom. I'm going to do about 2 or 3 tablespoons of the grease back into the bowl. To the pan. This is all the good bits that I need. Still cooking. All right. That's my spoon. Let me get a different spoon. And I'm going to do a helping teaspoon of all-purpose flour. And you know my base that I did, I had sifted this back, all my seasons. Oops. I'm going to do a healthy teaspoon of that. So I got 2 teaspoons of flour to about, I would say, about 2 to 3 teaspoons of the oil. Okay, so I'm stirring up the flour into the olive oil mixture, and I'm trying to scrape all the goodness that we have from the pans. And we got to cook this flour. This is on a medium because we want to cook the rawness out of the flour. So I'm turning on a medium, and I'm just stirring, and I don't want it to lump, and I don't want it to burn. If it feels like it's burning, you need to turn down your heat, and then you need to take it off and then let it cool down a little, and then put it right back on. Okay, I turned that to the side, off the heat, and I'm taking my onions that I got, and I'm putting them in there. These are good old white onions. You can use white, yellow, it's whatever you prefer. And we're going to stir that into that wonderful gravy. We want these babies to cook in there. Now, inside here, we're going to add a little seasonings. You can use a little garlic powder or fresh garlic. Some Mrs. Dash. You know, any kind of seasons you want in your gravy. And I added just a little bit of paprika to give it that little sweet taste. Just a pinch. And there we go. We're going to stir all that up. Right. While they're cooking good. Turn that down. And we want that really hot. Now, what we add in here, my favorite, my secret, is we're going to be using chicken broth. We're going to open up another thing of chicken broth here. Shaking it well. And there you go, chicken broth. And as we pour, we're going to have to hurry up and stir so we don't want it to lump up. Look at that. Okay, little paprika, Mrs. Dash, garlic powder, sea salt, and black pepper. I put that in there, and then my little bits are in here. I put the little bits that was in the pan, they're in there floating with those onions. So I've got this, and I'm just going to let this simmer, searing, and get thick. If it doesn't get thick, I'm going to show you a way to even make it thicker. Okay, got my steaks. I'm going to start adding all that stuff, and then my gravy has been cooking a little bit. After I got all that in there and the gravy's in there, I'm going to take that gravy, and I'm going to take these steaks, half done, and look at all those juices there. That's some good juice. And don't forget, this is not regular oil. This is olive oil. And a little bit of healthy butter, but we're only using a little teaspoon of that. And then we got these cooking on real low, slow, and then finish up this gravy. And we want these steaks to actually be in here and smother that gravy. So we want to scoot over, give it room, let him get in. He has to get in. All right, there we go. We're going to let that just sit there and finish cooking these steaks because they're not all the way done. They're medium. And this is going to cook for about 25 minutes, making sure these are nice and tender. And don't forget, we put meat tenderizer on them, so they're going to be nice and tender. And you should be able to cut them pretty good. If not, always use a knife. Okay, I'm going to use about a teaspoon of olive oil to a teaspoon of butter. And I want that to shimmer. Okay, that is a half teaspoon, not a whole teaspoon, half teaspoon of butter. Half teaspoon of olive oil, half teaspoon of butter. Okay, got a little bit of that garlic. I'm gonna stir it around in there. Get that free, and some shallots. You know, just add a little of both. Those shallots. Oh, that sounds so good. The shallots, the garlic. It's cooking those good. Okay. Remember those green beans that we blanched earlier? Let's throw all of those in there because they want to be loved, you know. I want to be loved. They want to be loved. Everybody wants to be loved, and we want to actually take all this good seasoning here and season up. We're going to put some pepper in here. Oh, yeah. Oh, delicious pepper. Get that all together. And you know what? I was thinking, oh my God, it might be so good if we just take a little bit more of the oil. But guess what this oil is? This is the olive oil that we mix. A little bit of this, spread it back in here with our green beans. Remember those steaks we did? And we had that oil left over? I'm just going to cover these in here and let these cook and get a good flavor. Let's add some pepper in here, guys. I was planning on doing that anyway. So that's my secret. And right now we're doing a special secret. We're doing a secret from Be Sure to Cook. Add that oil in there. You're not going to keep it. A little black pepper, yes. Oh, how about a little sea salt in there? That sounds good because I need that. And you know, you need a little salt for your, you know, I don't use a lot of salt, but a little bit for things that are blanch or blank or plain or bland. Yeah. Just see how I did that pinch? I just did it like a pinch because these are big pieces, you know. And look at all that garlic and shallots in there. Yeah. Okay, I use two different kinds. I got fresh garlic and I'm adding some garlic powder. To me, it's a little different. And some Mrs. Dash to these green beans. We're going to toss them and get them to cook really good. Because I tasted one and it needed a little bit more flavor to me. But these are delicious. But these are going to get tossed with some cheese here. I'm going to taste one, guys. I like them. They're delicious. Okay, I'm going to take these. And because my seasoning, the salt drop to the bottom, has actually getting kind of toasty, I'm turning these off. Now I'm just picking the green beans out. Okay, they're still hot and fresh. And the next thing I'm going to add is I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese. And I'm just going to toss these in Parmesan. Okay, and there we go. These are our crispy green beans. These are wonderful. Oh my God, they're so good. Okay, guys, we're getting ready to plate. Here's our mashed potatoes that we did. Don't forget about those. That is our smothered steak and onions. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get us out one of these delicious steak with the onions, and we're gonna put it on our plate. We're gonna try to put it on there really good. There we go. We did it. Woohoo! Okay, we're gonna get some of these creamy mashed potatoes. Look how creamy these are. Oh my God. We're gonna get a big dip of those creamy mashed potatoes in there. There we go. Look at that. Oh. Let's get some more, guys. Oh, creamy mashed potatoes. And don't forget those delicious green beans that we have. Look at that. Good old strained green beans that we got. Nice and tender and crispy. There we go. Smothered steak and onions, mashed potatoes, and our strained crispy green beans. Okay, guys, you did this. You and me, we did this together. Smothered steak with onions, crispy green beans, and mashed potatoes. Hey guys, come back and see us again. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. I love you all. And come back so we can make other dishes. Hey, see you next time. Bye.